welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Let me tell you, we're still buzzing in studio from the excitement of our guests' incredible road trip from London to the Mother City. Now, we've got, of course, Karen, who's with us in studio, as well as Wella and Spence. I'm part of the crew now, so I'm allowed to use their nicknames, okay? And they've taken us through the journey, but there's so much more to uncover. And I'm telling you, if you just tuned in right now, you came at the good time, because we're definitely going to get into some juice and some tea. But we've got some voice notes that we've got to hear first before we dive into the adventures of Morocco, Nigeria, DRC. Let's have a listen.
My name is Buhle, and my question is, did you notice any cultural differences or similarities across the countries you traveled through, and what were they?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Buhle. Okay, any cultural differences you noticed? Yeah?
Yeah, massive differences. So obviously Africa is a massive continent, and we've driven
Africa's
through...
not a country, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a continent, and we drove through a lot of it. And
how many countries did we go through in total? I think almost 20.
Yeah, almost 20 countries.
Yeah.
So obviously there was huge culture differences from the top of Africa, where it's like largely Islamic influence, and then as we worked our way down, there's more Christian influences, and then tribal culture was quite dominant, and animist and voodoo religion as well. So we noticed all those changes as we were going down.
Yeah.
And
sure.
What other things we noticed? I suppose the food.
The food was,
I was going to ask, did it have an impact on the kind of food that they had in each country?
Yeah. We one of the things that we'd kind of heard a bit about was there was the competition between the Nigerian and the Ghanaian jollof.
Jollof,
rice.
come on, that rivalry is as old as time.
So
and do we have a winner between you guys?
We debated for a while, and I think, I personally...
What do you think?
For me personally, I prefer the Ghanaian. The Nigerian's a bit too spicy.
Okay,
yeah,
I see.
I think we both felt the same as well.
None of us are very good with spicy food.
Yeah.
I hear you.
The Ghanaian one was a bit more mild.
Yeah.
So I think we preferred that.
Hopefully by the time you leave South Africa, your spice tolerance would have increased just
Maybe,
a little bit.
We actually did an Instagram story poll, and I think Nigerian won.
Did it win? Yeah. Okay.
Nigerians are very proud about their jollof rice,
Yeah.
I understand. Let's listen to another voice note.
Good morning, Expresso. This is Solo from Bloemfontein. To Karen, Spence, and James, I'd like to know if you guys think you broke some stereotypes about Africa, like the very noticeable fact that you don't see a whole lot of wild animals. Thank you. Love you guys.
Yeah, shout out to Bloom. I love that you tuned in. Thank you so much. Well, Karen, that one was directed to you. It's all around, you know, in America in particular, I feel they always say, hey, do you take a giraffe to school? Do you see some wildebeest running around? Were there any stereotypes that you found were completely broken when you came through?
Well, coming to Africa, obviously, you expect a lot of, wildlife, like elephants, giraffes, zebras. We didn't actually see any wildlife until we got to Namibia.
Well, we saw some things like the gorillas in the Congo.
Yeah, but we didn't see.
Yeah, but those kind of things,
the safari animals that you would expect. The elephants. We were expecting, higher up, even probably like Ivory Coast, but we didn't see any. We saw lots of cows and chickens.
We were camping a lot, so we were always out in the wild. We were worried that animals might stray into camp, but all we really saw were mosquitoes and a few chickens to start with.
Or like
unfortunately,
cows, goats,
Okay.
But as we got further south, and then once we got into Namibia, then it did, I suppose, more fit the stereotype. There were elephants on the road and giraffes walking around.
Even
herds of zebra.
We camped, we see like giraffes in the morning, which is incredible.
One evening we were smoking cigars in the camp, and we heard some rustling out in the forest, and we shone the torch out there, and there was a herd of elephants passing through.
Oh my goodness.
Which is
Elephants and
scary.
giraffes are like my favorite animals.
Yeah, they're so special.
They're majestic. They are so beautiful. Well, I do want to talk about the sea, but while we're on the land, let's talk about what happened at the voodoo market and perhaps a puppy that you may have rescued. What happened there?
Spence, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so we were in Benin, and there's a lot of voodoo sort of culture there.
Yeah.
And we were walking through a market, and there was a voodoo sacrifice market with chickens and all sorts of different animals, but they also had cats and dogs. We saw a small cage with probably the cutest puppy I think we've ever seen.
Goodness.
Locked eyes with his little puppy eyes, and we couldn't just leave him there.
We made a connection
Look at the
with
puppy. Oh,
He was really, really sweet. And obviously we couldn't save all of the animals, but we thought if we could just help one. And so he cost us about maybe the equivalent of 150 rand.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very expensive.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what we'd do with him, but we knew we couldn't leave him to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
So we bought him,
And then we got him
defleed him,
got him a little
dewormed
bandana.
got his
Ended up
bandana
taking,
made.
taking him with us for about a week or so, didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the most perfect, cute little
He was
dog.
Oh, what's his
cute.
name?
Ibby.
Ibby.
Yeah.
Ibby.
And where's Ibby now?
we? We found a home for him in
We found
Nigeria,
a
didn't we?
forever loving home in Nigeria.
Oh, man.
It took us a while. We
Yeah.
wanted to find Ibby not just a home, but like a loving, like a forever home. And we found the perfect family for him.
Oh, man. Well, Evie, we're thinking about you right now and know that we're talking about you, too, in the best of ways. Well, from land to sea, let's talk about getting lost at sea. Willa, what was that about? What happened?
So when we were in Guinea-Bissau, we went on a small boat trip. There were a group of islands that we'd sort of wanted to go to for a while that were really beautiful, and we thought that we could just sort of turn up and find someone to take us there. And we found a small boat, and we offered to pay them to take us out to these islands. But they didn't bring enough fuel. So sort of partway there, things weren't sort of looking very good. They had some problems with the engine. I think there was a bit of a fuel leak. And we were kind of drifting around for a while. They managed to fix something, and they had a bit of fuel, sort of spare fuel left, and managed to get us most of the way back. But just before we got back to land, the fuel ran out, and we were drifting around in
But it was like
the sea
half
for a while, weren't we?
The sun was setting, so it's going to be dark quite soon as well.
My goodness.
They didn't have a phone that worked. They didn't have a radio. They didn't have flares. They didn't even have water. Yeah, so we were just drifting.
And then luckily we saw sort of a fishing boat in the distance and sort of signalled them over. And they came over, and luckily they had some spare fuel on their boat and gave us some fuel, and then we managed to get back to land. But it was quite scary. We were out there for a couple of hours sort of drifting around.
It wasn't the best.
I can imagine the emotions that you must have gone through. It sounds like my worst nightmare. Oh, my goodness. The adventure continues, though. Thank you so much for being here with us. People can follow your Instagram and catch up. If you've missed anything, where can they find you?
So, yeah, the Instagram is london.to.capetown with a number 2.
Nice. I'm sure that half a milli is going to reach a milli by the end of this. Thank you so much, Karen, Willa, and Spence, for being here today and sharing your wonderful stories. And maybe Ewan and I can, fly out to London and then also road trip all the way through the UK. Ewan, what do you think?